Good afternoon, everyone. So, how are you all? All good? So, I hope all of you have given Abhyas. That's why you are here. Yes? Okay. How was the paper? Difficult? Moderate? कैसे लगा? Difficult? ठीक है. So, did you get to know the average score, highest score? मिला था, डेटा मिला था? ठीक है. So, we have around nearly 25,000 students appeared for this Abhyas. So, in that, so I would say we have to correlate the cutoff marks. So last year prelims का cutoff था 75, है ना? So that's thanks to CSAT. So however, GS standalone, the cutoff would not have decreased to that level if CSAT was easier. So we are assuming that this year's CSAT should not be that tough because there was total, you can say, uproar against the CSAT in the entire UPSC circles, right? So or anyway, still, at least even if the UPSC gives that kind of paper, at least the students are prepared. So not many would, like, so get blocked in the prelim stage because of that. So definitely the GS cutoff would be higher this time. So please don't target 75 this year. You're getting the logic? So even if you assume the CSAT is going to be as tough as the last year, GS cutoff will be higher because people will be more ready this year, right? And at least UPSC may show some mercy and may make the CSAT paper a little bit easier. So in both the cases, the cutoff for GS will be higher. So if the GS paper doesn't become too tough. So to be on the safer side, so in the last 5 years, so cutoff was around 90, 95, 100. So please target 100 and above. Okay, so to be on the safer side, and if you are targeting forest service also, it should be 120 and above, just to be on the safer side, because even 1 or 2 questions going like so not in an expected manner to may make your score lesser. So just to be on the safer side, 100, 120 should be our target for civil service and forest services. So in that comparison, if you see the top 1,000 students of this 25,000, so they have crossed 84 cross कर दिया है इस बार. And of course, people who are appearing on Abhyas this time, at this point of time, so most of them would be on right track. Okay, so one who has studied thoroughly, studied well till now, they would be appearing in Abhyas. So we can say that among this lot of people who are appearing, the competition will be a little bit tough. If any of you have scored around 80, so that means you are on right track. Okay, so around 80 you should be on the right track. So please push it to 100 in the whatever the coming days which are left. Okay, and Abhyas is a very right opportunity for you guys to do that. So during our time there was no such thing called as Abhyas, no institute used to provide this. Okay, so imagine at all India level, exactly UPSC pattern paper, in the same way, going to the exam center, same time, morning GS, afternoon CSAT. Okay, so that you get that exam mode, you will never get anywhere else. We never got anywhere else. Okay, हमारे time में तो नहीं था ये सब. So maximum, like we would have gone to any of the test center and we could have collected the textbook, right, and appeared at room only. You get to repeat the same pattern, same conditions what you are going to face in UPSC. And that is a really very good opportunity for you to correct yourself. Right? So everything is same. Timing is same. Okay, so morning 9:30 to 11:30, then afternoon 2:30 to 4:30. And full length paper, we try to replicate, try to follow and try to predict the UPSC pattern and try to give the questions on that lines. And you get the comparative analysis of 25,000 people who are going to appear, your rank, you would get to know, where you stand. So this kind of experience we used to get on the day of UPSC only. And many people used to realize the mistakes on the day of UPSC. Okay, अरे ये कर लिया था, ये करना था, ये नहीं करना था. To again come back, you would need one more year. But not like that now. You have one Abhyas, second, and 3 Abhyas total. 2 more Abhyas. So to make the best out of it, try to assess your performance. Okay, so I'm sure many of you would have prepared and gone. Okay, so next Abhyas, make sure that you prepare 100% and give as if you are going to give in UPSC exam only. That is final. Okay, make sure your preparation is final. Okay, so don't think 100%, so leave about 100%. Because nobody can do 100% preparation, even for UPSC prelims also. You will always be left with something, ये करना था, वो करना था, और revise करना था. Okay, but to the best of your mark, to the best of your capacity, you will prepare and go and write Abhyas. When you give your 100%, then you realize many mistakes. Even after preparing for 100%, there are many mistakes you will do on the day. That you have to correct. Right? So then you come back again, check, again verify, again improve, again go and give the third Abhyas, and then finally you will have very less mistakes to do on the day of prelims. Right? So never ever think that prepare nahi hua hai, chalo aise hi jaake de dete hai. So whatever you have prepared, right now you have time, till next Abhyas you have time to give your 100% and revise everything, practice as much as possible, and just attempt as if you are appearing for UPSC prelims only. That is the best way of making use of this Abhyas. Okay? And you have this post-test analysis. If you log into your student portal with Abhyas ka login karo, so there you will get this post-test analysis. Okay, so overall your performance in all the sections, in which section you have done well, which section you have not done well, where you can improvise. Okay, do this thorough analysis, that is must. And then improvise on that, focus on those areas where you can improvise. ऐसे जरूरी नहीं कि हमेशा जहां पर लो परफॉर्म हुआ है वहां पर ही आप ज्यादा काम करोगे, है ना. ऐसा कुछ सेक्शन होता है कि यहां पर जितना भी मेहनत करो उसमें मार्क्स नहीं आएगा. Okay, that is up to the individual के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है. So there will be few sections where you work, where you put little more effort, you will get more marks. ऐसे वाले sections पकड़ो, improvise करो, and then come back for Abhyas. And most importantly, try to practice at least some questions on daily basis. Keep some target. Okay, 30 questions, 40 questions, 50 questions, daily basis. Fix a particular time of the day. And randomly take questions. You'll get so many papers in the market, so many questions. Randomly take questions and just solve it. Without having the mental blockade that you have not prepared, you have not revised. So that is what this prelims is about. Being ready to answer any question at any point of time. In the examination also, you should think like this. Only if you think like this, you will get the maximum out of it. You will be able to attend to the maximum capacity. Okay, so ऐसे ब्लॉकेड नहीं होना चाहिए. शायद ये पढ़ लिया तो आंसर मिल जाता, पढ़ के आया तो भी आंसर नहीं मिलेगा, वहां पर बैठ के सोचना है. बहुत सारा क्वेश्चन ऐसे ही होता है. Okay, so बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन ऐसे होते हैं कि आप पढ़ के आए तो भी मार्क्स मतलब पता नहीं है. Whatever the sources you had shortlisted, पूरा thoroughly पढ़ के आ गए, फिर भी ऐसे क्वेश्चंस मिलेगा जहां पर आपको मतलब पढ़ा नहीं है, पर वहां पर बैठ के काम माइंड से सोच लिया तो मिल जाएगा आंसर. वही होता है प्रैक्टिस. डेली बेसिस में प्रैक्टिस करना है तो सो दैट यू गेट इनटू दैट नैक ऑफ सॉल्विंग द क्वेश्चन. ओके, सो पिक अप ए क्वेश्चन and try to see what is given, make some logical deduction, assumptions, and get the answer. This kind of practice is required on daily basis. Okay, so this will increase your overall attempt increase karega in terms of number of questions, and also it will also make your answers finer, because in many of the questions you are left with two options, you have to take guess from the two more options. Okay, you eliminated two, दो और में आपको guess मारना है, वो guess मारने का जो है ना, तो वो डेली बेसिस में प्रैक्टिस करने से ठीक हो जाता है. Fine, so try to do that. Most important part of prelims is stress management. It's not about how much you study, it's about how well you are able to solve a particular question at that point of time. That depends upon your thinking capacity, and your thinking capacity depends upon how calm you are actually thinking, not how well you have read and come. A calm mind thinks at 100% capacity. A stressed mind will think obviously less. Sometimes 70%, sometimes 50%, sometimes 20%, sometimes totally blank. Okay, stress लेने से कोई भी फायदा नहीं है. You should just think at that moment only. अभी का पार्ट ये है कि क्वेश्चन है आपके सामने, उसका आंसर कैसे निकालना है. दैट इज द ओनली टारगेट. रिजल्ट क्या होगा वो बाद में देखते हैं. ठीक है, चलो. So I'll be taking geography and environment section. So let's start with geography first. So geography, the syllabus for Abhyas, the syllabus for UPSC prelims has been as it is given in the notification. I have taken it from the notification. The syllabus is given as the physical, social and economic geography of India and world. Physical, social and economic geography of India and world. Okay, so that means you have to prepare both from India's perspective as well as from world's perspective. So the physical aspects of geography include the geomorphology, climatology, oceanography, biogeography, and the social and economic aspects include the economic activities like agriculture, mineral resource extraction, industries, transportation, right? And also some of the aspects of tribes, population, settlement, all of this. Okay, this is the overall geography. In this, the maximum emphasis is on the physical and economic, and very less on the social. Maximum emphasis on the physical and economic, and nearly 40% of the questions in geography are going to be map based. Okay, nearly 40%. It has been the trend. So this is the overall weightage of the questions which have been asked in geography since the last time they changed the syllabus. That was in 2011. Initially there was a good number of questions from geography, then again it dipped. Now again it has increased. We are expecting to have good number of questions in geography in this year also. Okay, so we are expecting at least 15 to 20 from geography, because that has been the trend. Okay, that includes of course 40% of the questions to be map based. Okay, so I guess you have no issues or doubts regarding the sources. Do you have anything to ask? Sources or approach for geography? So shall we start? Okay. So let's start with the question number 21. Question number 21. So this is a question from social geography, I would say, the census based question. So of course the 2021 census has not been conducted. Okay, the results will take time for it to come out, and till then you have to have a rough idea of 2011 census itself. And 2011 census, you don't have to know the exact numbers as such. It appears to be a little bit outdated, but however the general trend would be necessary in terms of the overall population. Which state has a higher population, which states have lower population. Okay, just the general trend, 1, 2, 3 in the top, 1, 2, 3 in the bottom, like that. Okay, and the overall idea of literacy rate, sex ratio, and the tribal population, right? So tribes are one of the important aspects of social geography. So the question is from that particular part. With reference to 2011 census, arrange the following states in decreasing order in terms of scheduled tribe population. Okay. So you have to be very careful while reading the question and underline few important keywords. Here it is very important to note that the question is about decreasing order, not increasing order. Okay, so student usually make confusion over there. So decreasing highest, and you have to carefully understand what exactly it has been asked, whether it is a population as a percentage of total population of the state or just the population of tribe. They have not mentioned anything as a percentage. That means it is the total population of tribe in that state. In which state has the highest number of tribal population? Okay, so even if you don't know the exact data, let's try to eliminate and get the answer. Okay, which state should have the highest number of tribes? Okay, of course we know that Northeast region has good number of tribes. Okay, so but here in Northeast there's only Nagaland. Okay, so in India, the central region of India where there is good number of forest, good forest coverage, there we can expect tribes. So the question will be between Madhya Pradesh and Nagaland. Okay, so of course Andhra Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh also have good number of tribes, but the overall forest cover in India is higher in Madhya Pradesh. So there we are bound to have good number of tribes. So either it is Madhya Pradesh or Nagaland. It should be first should be 2 or 3, and there is no 3. It's always 2. So we have eliminated 2 options. You are left with 2 options, B and C. So number 1, if it is Madhya Pradesh, according to the option, number 2 is always Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh is second. So you have to choose between Nagaland and UP. Which state has the higher number of tribal community? Okay, so difficult to judge because UP has a very high population. Even if there is less proportion of tribes over there, the numbers tend to be higher. Okay, Nagaland has of course higher proportion of tribal population, but the overall population is low. Right? So there you will have to take the guess. Here comes the logical reasoning. Each individual will have some kind of logic based on which you will mark an answer. Okay, once you mark the answer, once you come back and check the answer, you have to remember on what basis you mark that answer. किस लॉजिक के बेसिस पे ये मार्क किया था एंड यहाँ पर आपका लॉजिक सही हुआ है या गलत हुआ है. दिस इज व्हाट यू हैव टू चेक. दिस इज द एनालिसिस व्हिच यू हैव टू डू. When you come back and see whether your way of marking was right, it is in the right direction or not. If it is right, that means you are going right. If it is wrong, you have to start thinking, why did you not think in this way? Okay, so this is what is analysis. So now tell me, between UP and Nagaland, which one should have higher number of tribes? So Nagaland. So among the northeastern states, Nagaland has good number of population. It is Arunachal which has less population because of too much of hilly region, Himalayas. Overall population कम है, but whatever the population is there, they are most probably they are all tribes only. Okay, so Nagaland का overall population थोड़ा सा ज्यादा ही है, and उसमें 80 to 85% usually tribes ही रहता है, तो उसके हिसाब से नागालैंड के ऊपर जा सकता है. ठीक है, and UP has less number of tribal community because over a long period of time वहां पर forest ही नहीं है ना. वैदिक टाइम से वहां पर एग्रीकल्चर चल रहा है, एग्रीकल्चर इज गोइंग ऑन सिंस द वैदिक टाइम्स, एंड ट्राइबल कम्युनिटी दे आर फॉरेस्ट डिपेंडेंट. जहां पर फॉरेस्ट नहीं है, ट्राइबल कम्युनिटी कम होना चाहिए. इफ एट ऑल आई एम आंसरिंग दिस, आई वुड हैव अप्लाइड दिस काइंड ऑफ लॉजिक. ओके, दैट इज हाउ यू हैव टू थिंक एंड लॉजिकली ट्राई टू कंक्लूड. लॉजिकली कंक्लूड करना है, नंबर्स पता होने का जरूरी नहीं है. So actually it's Nagaland which has higher number of tribes than UP. So Nagaland has 17 lakhs, UP has 11 lakhs, the tribal population. जो गट इंस्टिंक्ट बोलते हैं हाँ ऐसे सही होना चाहिए, उसके ऊपर जाना है. एंड लॉजिकल कौन से लॉजिक के ऊपर लगा रहे हो वो याद रखना है, एंड वापस आके उसी को ही चेक करना है. जैसे जैसे जितना ये करोगे, आपका जो गेसिंग मेथड है ना वो ठीक होते जाएगा. Okay, so for your comparison, we have all the states. It is given in the explanation also. Okay, so Madhya Pradesh has highest, nearly 1.5 crore. Andhra Pradesh has 26 lakhs. Nagaland has 17 lakhs, and UP has 11 lakhs. ठीक है, So overall, the proportion of India's tribes compared to the total population is 8.6. 8.6%. This is the number which you have to remember. So question number 22. Consider the following statements regarding insolation received on the earth, very clearly given in the stem itself. Stem मतलब क्या है? क्वेश्चन का अलग अलग पार्ट होते हैं, बताता हूं देखो. ये क्वेश्चन को डिकोड करने में थोड़ा सा मदद होगा. ये है स्टेम. एक्चुअल स्टेटमेंट शुरू होने के पहले वाला स्टेटमेंट होता है ना, दैट इज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड एज द स्टेम ऑफ द क्वेश्चन. ये स्टेम है, ये स्टेटमेंट होगा या ऑप्शंस होगा. स्टेटमेंट इज फुल लेंथ, ऑप्शन है तो 1 2 3 4 5 ऐसे छोटा छोटा वर्ड्स होगा. सो देन देर इज ए कनेक्टिंग स्टेटमेंट एंड देन देर आर आंसर्स ABCD. ठीक है, ये क्वेश्चन का पार्ट्स होता है. पहले स्टेम को पकड़ना है. कभी कभी स्टेम यहां पर होते हैं, कभी कभी यहां पर भी होता है. सो ऊपर बस दिया होता है कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स, देन दे वुड गिव द स्टेटमेंट्स एंड देन दे विल कम टू द स्टेम. सबसे पहले स्टेम पढ़ना है. व्हाट एग्जैक्टली दे आर ट्राइंग टू आस्क, whether they're asking you to identify the correct statement or wrong statement, or in a particular context, is this the reason behind this, है ना. कुछ तो क्वेश्चन होगा, पहले क्वेश्चन पकड़ो फिर आओ जाओ पढ़ने के लिए. स्टेम क्या है? रिगार्डिंग इंसुलेशन रिसीव्ड ऑन द अर्थ. यू हैव टू वेरी केयरफुली रीड द स्टेम. अगर यहां पर गलती कर दिया तो पूरा क्वेश्चन ही गलत हो जाएगा. इंसुलेशन रिसीव्ड ऑन द अर्थ, दैट मीन्स the amount of insulation which is falling on the surface. सरफेस के पास में कितना इंसुलेशन गिरते जा रहे हैं. The amount of insulation which is falling on the surface, that is the insulation received on the earth. Across all the latitude, equator receives the maximum insulation. Is that right? Ideally तो होना चाहिए. Along with this, I also have some facts, also interesting facts. So you can assess your performance accordingly. The last question 21 जो tribes वाला question था ना, 91% of the students have attempted that. Okay, so 91 of all the 25,000. In that only 61% are right. मतलब 91% attempt किया था, उसके अंदर 61% right किया है. So I'll give you for every question this data. Try to see your performance accordingly. इससे बहुत सारी चीजें पता कर सकते हैं. क्या पता कर सकते हैं? वेदर यू आर विद द जनरल स्टूडेंट्स, जनरल प्रिपरेशन ट्रेंड के हिसाब से आप जा रहे हो नहीं जा रहे हो. अगर मेजॉरिटी ऑफ देम हैज मार्क्ड इट राइट एंड यू आर मार्क्ड इट रॉन्ग, मतलब आपका प्रिपरेशन में थोड़ा सा तो गलती है, मेथड में कुछ गलती है. ठीक है, और बहुत सारे लोग उसको गलती कर दिया, आप सही कर दिया, मतलब आप सही जा रहे हो, अच्छा जा रहे हो. ठीक है, तो इससे बहुत सारी चीजें पता चलेगा. और इसमें यह भी पता होता है बहुत सारे लोग इसको गलती कर दिया, आपने अटेंड ही नहीं किया, उसका मतलब है बहुत सही काम किया आपने. So most of the students are tend to have marked it wrong, where they have got negative mark, you have skipped. So that is always better, right? ये सारी चीजें पता चलेगा. So I'll tell you for each question. So try to note down and then you can assess your performance over there. So in this question, 96% of the students have attempted this, and out of that, only 26% are right. Okay, so very few have marked it as right. Okay, so because the question is a little bit tricky. Across all latitudes, the equator receives the maximum insolation. Is that right or wrong? So it is natural to think equator receives the highest angle of insolation. Angle of incidence is highest at the equator, right? Okay, and there is 12 hours of day throughout the year. So it is natural, but यहाँ पर एक condition add हो जाते हैं. So because of the convection, because of the formation of clouds on daily basis, the clouds will block good amount of insolation. Near to the equator, there is clouds on daily basis throughout the year. And not just any clouds, it is thick cumulonimbus clouds. And these clouds are capable of blocking a good amount of sunlight. It will not let the insolation reach the surface. That is what is the stem is saying. ऊपर से तो आ जाएगा, नीचे नहीं पहुंचेगा. Okay, so it will come above, but it will not reach the surface. What they are asking is how much has reached the surface. Even it comes, it will not reach. Then where do you expect the highest amount of insolation reaching the surface? Subtropics. Subtropical regions around 30 degrees will rarely have clouds. They are totally dry regions. Okay, that is where the air is subsiding down. 30 degrees high pressure belt is where the air is subsiding down. There you cannot expect good number of clouds. No clouds, higher amount of insolation. The first statement is wrong. Generally at the same latitude, the insolation is more over the ocean than over the continents. Again the same logic. Okay, so take any particular latitude, they are saying that over the oceans and continent if you compare, so there is more insolation over the ocean than over the continents. Is that right? दो तरीके से ये गलत हो सकता है. अगर इंसुलेशन सेम अमाउंट गिर रहा है तो दोनों की जगह में सेम ही होना चाहिए. ठीक है, वैसे सोचो तब भी गलत है. और दूसरा है कि एक्चुअल जो लॉजिक है, ओवर द ओशंस will have higher cloud coverage than over the land. Oceans will experience higher cloud coverage because of high rate of evaporation. Larger the surface area of water, more the evaporation and more clouds are formed and clouds will block the light again. You may be thinking, clouds, how much it will block? कितना ही block कर ही लेता है? Clouds बहुत ज़्यादा block करता है. 27% of the incoming sunlight is blocked by clouds. Higher the cloud coverage, lesser the insolation reaching the surface. That is why this is also wrong. Generally at the same latitude, insolation more over the continents than over the oceans. Answer is D, neither one nor two. So here both have done good job. Those 26% who have done marked it right and those 4% who have not attempted this. है ना, दोनों का सही है. Unless you are not 100% sure, you should not attempt it. हाँ, वहां यहां पर अटेम्प्ट हो जाएगा क्योंकि एटलीस्ट एक स्टेटमेंट तो मिल ही जाएगा. दो स्टेटमेंट दो ऑप्शन में आपको चूज करना पड़ेगा ना, तब गेस मार सकते हो. Okay, you have eliminated two, you are left with two options, then you have to attempt it. Apply some logic and attempt it. Don't leave such kind of questions. Where you are left with three options or four options, you cannot take a random guess over there. Okay, so that is not something which we suggest. In mountainous area, the decrease in temperature with increasing altitude leads to corresponding change in natural vegetation. In this context, which of the following is the correct sequence of natural vegetation zones in ascending order of altitude? Okay, so very simple logic, very simple correlation, I'll tell you. The type of vegetation depends upon two factors. One is temperature, another is rainfall. Temperature and rainfall. Two important factors which will decide the type of vegetation. Wherever there is a higher temperature and higher precipitation, this is always good for vegetation. That is where you have thick, dense, luxuriant rainforest. Evergreen rainforest which remains green throughout the year. Wherever the temperature is high and precipitation has become little bit low. Okay, where the temperature is high, precipitation is high. So here you will find evergreen. Where temperature is high, precipitation is moderate. Okay, so precipitation is, let's say, moderate with some dry conditions. You will find deciduous. That is broad-leaved deciduous, which will shed the leaves during the dry conditions. Wherever temperature is low and precipitation is high, so that is in the higher latitude or higher altitude, you will find coniferous forest. Is it clear? Coniferous forest, you have to go to Siberia, Canada, the largest extent of coniferous forest, or you go to Himalayas, higher stretch. Okay, in both the cases temperature is high, precipitation is fine, precipitation is sufficient. Wherever temperature is also low, precipitation is also low, there you will find tundra and alpine. Tundra and alpine is like short bush, shrubs, grass, grasslands, all of this. So these are the four types we can generally understand. Talking about this increase in altitude, along the lower elevation, it is either evergreen or deciduous, depending upon the amount of precipitation. You go to Arunachal, you will find evergreen. Along the lower elevation, you will find evergreen over there. You come to Uttarakhand, Himachal, along the lower elevation, you will find deciduous. After increase in certain altitude, you will start to find the mix of this and this. Either evergreen and coniferous or deciduous and coniferous. This is what is mixed forest. Okay, so let's say you're talking about Himachal. So we will find deciduous. Broad-leaved deciduous. Then comes mixed forest, where there is mix of both broad-leaved as well as coniferous. After some time, when the temperature has become much more lower, you will find only conifer, conical shaped trees. Where there is snowfall, the trees are adapted to survive in that condition. And after certain altitude, you will find alpine. Alpine is like short bushes. Even if there are trees, there are short trees scattered here and there with grassland. You go to much higher elevation, only very, very limited, like lichens, mosses. Lichens, mosses are not even true plants. Okay, very, very limited. You will not find grass also. Okay, so you will get the answer here. The first, it should be wet, temperate, evergreen, broadleaf. Okay, so it can be evergreen also, deciduous also, depending upon the precipitation here. So wet, temperate, evergreen, broadleaf, both are eliminated. The second, temperate grasslands. Temperate grasslands, ठीक है, ऊपर यहां तक पहुंच गया. After coniferous, you will find temperate grasslands. Third, you have to choose between mosses and lichens and then alpine vegetation. Which one comes first? Alpine comes first. Alpine contains some of the trees. There are few rare trees you will find there. Very short scattered trees. Any examples? Rhododendron, juniper, birch. Okay, so spruce. These isolated trees you will find them. After that, there's only totally lichens and mosses. So the answer would be D. So this question was attempted by 93% of the students and 55 are correct. Okay, like 50-50 chances. So most of them got stuck between these two, I guess. Question number 24. Which of the following statements best describes the formation of cavum clouds? This is totally from current affairs. Only 50% of the students have answered this, attempted this. In that 50%, not even 50%, 25% have marked it right. Okay, so मतलब 50% तो attempt भी नहीं किया है, 50% attempt किया है, उसके अंदर 25% ही right किया है. मतलब जो बाकी 50% attempt नहीं किया है ना, वो सही काम किया है. So देखो, current affairs में you cannot take a guess out of 4 options. If at all you have not heard what is cavum clouds, you cannot just guess. तो पता भी नहीं, कुछ भी हो सकता है, चारों हो सकता है. यूपीएससी ऐसे तो नहीं देंगे 2-3 ऑप्शन ऐसे ही रैंडमली. Okay, so कुछ भी नहीं डाल दो, ऐसा नहीं. तो all the 4 options are very carefully chosen and framed in such a way that so everything looks similar. If you don't know it, don't take a guess out of 4. Okay, so that is why I am saying those who did not attempt, they have done good job. जो attempt किया उसके अंदर 3/4 गलत है, 1/4 ही सही है. So now I tell you what is this cavum clouds. So this is what is cavum clouds. So it is very rare to see such kind of clouds, and for a long time we have observed here and there, and recently they have come to a conclusion how these clouds are formed. So these clouds, if you are seeing the other side, the clouds which are there behind, these are the altocumulus clouds. Cumulus, cotton wool like appearance. Alto, middle altitude. Okay, so middle altitude, cotton wool like appearance. That is what is altocumulus clouds. Whenever there are altocumulus clouds, if an aircraft or jet passes through this at a very high speed, okay, when a body passes through this at a very high speed, that fast motion of the body causes the rapid expansion of this air in between. It causes rapid expansion, rapid adiabatic heating also. Okay, sorry, adiabatic expansion. Rapid expansion होगा. As it expands rapidly, whatever the clouds which are there here, it will condense immediately. Immediately it will turn into ice crystals and it will start to fall down. That creates a hole here. That is what is called as Kavum clouds. Okay, so very simple concept. If some fast moving body passes through these clouds, what clouds? Altocumulus clouds. That fast movement causes the adiabatic expansion of air, and that will condense the water immediately. And immediately in that area, the ice crystals will fall down, clearing the cloud over there. That is what is Kavum cloud. And उसका मतलब ये नहीं कि नीचे तक गिरेगा नहीं. Okay, नीचे तक गिर जाएगा ऐसा तो नहीं है. So these ice crystals, by the time it reaches the lower parts, it gets again vaporized. वो नीचे तक गिरेगा भी नहीं. But you will see a hole inside the cloud. That is what is Kavum cloud. So what is the answer here? They are formed when aircraft passes through layers of altocumulus clouds. Simple. Okay? You will answer it when you know it. When you don't know it, you cannot just take a guess. Consider the following statements regarding minerals found in India. Okay. See, these kind of questions, whenever you see some of them, all of them, try to attempt it, it's easier. Okay, so try to attempt this. Some riverbeds contain rare metal deposits. Okay, so you must, even if you have not heard, try to answer this. Can the riverbed contain metal? Metal deposition, can it happen over the riverbed? Yes. Very famous gold deposition happens along the riverbed. Because whenever a river is flowing through any of the high elevated region or mountainous area. Okay, so let's say a river is flowing through mountainous area. If at all there are particular type of ore or metals are deposited here, the continuous flow of water will remove them. And once the river comes to the lower elevation where it slows down, there it gets deposited. Because here the rivers are flowing at a very high speed, it will carry all the sediments. As the river slows down, some of the sediments gets deposited. So what you see is sand. That is also mixed of various different minerals. Minerals contains metals, obviously. If there are some valuable metals here, they will get deposited over there. Along the river bank, you will find small fragments of gold. Not everywhere, in some places. It is called as gold placer deposits. If there is any rare metal, it is possible. It is saying some riverbed, definitely possible. कहीं पे तो होगा ऐसे. कहीं पे तो ऐसे रिवर के थ्रू कोई भी मेटल मिल गया तो उठा के लेके गया तो कोई दूसरी जगह में डिपॉजिट कर दिया तो ऑब्वियस है. देखो बहुत सिंपल. फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट इज राइट. Some river basin contains shale gas deposit. So for that you have to know what is shale gas. Shale gas is a natural gas which is trapped in the shale rocks. Shale rocks, sedimentary rocks. ठीक है. Wherever there are sedimentary rocks, there is a possibility of shale gas over there. Not everywhere, in few locations. Now, can the riverbed contain shale rock? Obviously, it is possible. Why not? Best example is the entire Gangetic Plain. The entire Gangetic Plain was once a huge sedimentary basin, a leftover basin of Tethys. Tethys का leftover basin था between the Indian plate and Eurasian plate. That leftover basin got filled with the sediments over a period of time. It created a huge sedimentary basin. In that over a period of time, shale gas has accumulated. The Gangetic Basin is the best example. It's possible. Okay, in fact, there are a total of 6 basins in India. All of them are associated with rivers. Cambay Basin, associated with Gulf of Khambat. Okay, it is associated with Mahi and Sabarmati. Okay, river basin. Gangetic Basin, it's there. Okay, so Assam Arkan Basin, Brahmaputra. Okay, then we have Damodar Basin also, KG Basin also, Kaveri Basin also. All of these are associated with the river basin only. Some coastal areas have crude oil reserves, right? KG Delta, Bombay High. Crude oil is found only in the continental shelf. If it is found on the land at that point of formation, it was under continental shelf. Crude oil is found only in the continental shelf. The organisms which are responsible for the formation of crude oil lives only in the continental shelf. Nowhere else. You will not find them on the land. You will not find them on the deep ocean. Coastal areas have crude oil reserve, definitely. Some coastal areas have ilmenite and rutile. हाँ, ये थोड़ा सा tricky हो जाएगा. Now you have to choose between only 3 and all 4. You have till reach till here. You have to take a guess here. So if at all you have seen some previous questions, you would have done this. India has 2 groups of minerals: major minerals, minor minerals. Major minerals, all the important minerals, जो भी पता है. Minor minerals, those which comes under the state government, they're not found in good quantity or they're not highly ऐसे valuable, ऐसे बहुत ज़्यादा चीजें नहीं है. Major minerals, minor minerals. You have to see the important major minerals as well as important minor minerals. ठीक है? And one of the largest in occurrence in India is the monazite sand. Found along the coastal region. 2 बार यूपीएससी में क्वेश्चन आ चुके हैं monazite sand के ऊपर. And this monazite sand, the coastal sand, has many different group of minerals, including thorium, including ilmenite, including rutile, zircon, as well as garnet. ये सारा उसके अंदर है. तो एक रफ आइडिया भी पता है तो आंसर मिल जाएगा. ठीक है? सो गो थ्रू द इंपॉर्टेंट माइनर मिनरल्स. इसके अंदर ये 2-3 आ जाते हैं. मेजर मिनरल्स तो सबको पता ही है. ओके, सो ऑल द इंपॉर्टेंट मिनरल्स जो आपने स्कूल में पढ़ के आए हो, कॉलेज में पढ़ के आए हो, ऑल ऑफ दीज आर मेजर मिनरल्स ओनली. द आंसर इज डी, ऑल 4. So this one 92% have attempted, in that 82% are right. मतलब majority of them have attempted right. If at all you are among those who have not attempted, that means you have not thoroughly studied this. You have to study this. सब लोग पढ़ रहे, अब तो छोड़ दिया इसका. और ये current affairs में भी है. Recently, along the Sutlej river bed, a very rare metal has been discovered. Sutlej river bed में बहुत rare metal deposit has been discovered. That is tantalum. So with reference to formation of rock system, arrange the following rock system in chronological order. I think this is not given in NCERT. Is it given in NCERT? I don't think so. थोड़ा सा technical है. Geological rock system. You don't have to go in too detail and understand each and every rock system. First thing is you should know what are the important rock system, what is the chronological order, कहां पर कौन सा मिलता है. ठीक है? For example, Himalayan rocks are called as tertiary rocks. The Gangetic plains are called as quaternary rocks. Himalayas बनने के बाद में आया था ना Gangetic plains, quaternary, पहले tertiary, then quaternary. The oldest rocks are called as Archean rocks. बहुत पुराना है. Very few locations you will find them on the surface. For example, Bundelkhand, Nilgiri Gneiss. बहुत कुछ जगह में ही मिलता है. जहां पर आयरन ज्यादा मिलता है, that is from Dharwar rocks. वो भी बहुत पुराना है. ठीक है? ऐसे 7-8 रॉक सिस्टम है. उसको एक सिंपल सा क्रोनोलॉजी बनाओ और उसको याद रख लो. क्रोनोलॉजी याद रख लो, रफ आइडिया कहां पर है वो याद रख लो. ये काम आएगा. Even if you don't get a direct question, you will indirectly answer many questions, particularly हमारा minerals, because a particular mineral is associated with particular rock system. Dharwar rocks, iron. Gondwana as well as carboniferous, coal. Limestone, Vindhyan as well as Kadapa. You can easily associate this. टर्शरी में आपको मिलता है लाइमस्टोन एंड देन रिसेंटली लिथियम. क्वाटरनरी में कुछ मिलता है शेल गैस, पेट्रोलियम, ब्रह्मपुत्र बेल्ट, राइट? सो यू कैन एसोसिएट दिस. सो हियर दिस इज द ऑर्डर इन जनरल. सबसे ओल्डेस्ट है आर्कियन रॉक सिस्टम से नीचे से ऊपर चलता है. ठीक है? सबसे ऊपर है मतलब द न्यूएस्ट वन, सबसे लेटेस्ट वन. आर्कियन एंड धारवार धारवाड़ के बाद में कडपा, कडपा के बाद में विंध्या, विंध्या के बाद में कार्बोनिफेरस एंड देन गोंडवाना, ठीक है, एंड देन मिसोजोइक, डेक्कन ट्रैप, डेक्कन ट्रैप के बाद में टर्शरी, टर्शरी के बाद में क्वाटरनरी, ठीक है. सो जनरल आइडिया इन द क्रोनोलॉजिकल ऑर्डर, मतलब अर्लीस्ट फर्स्ट, द अर्लीस्ट अमॉन्ग दिस इज धारवाड़. आंसर ही मिल गया. बाकी वेरीफाई कर लो. धारवाड़ के बाद में कडपा, कडपा के बाद में द्रविडियन, द्रविडियन इज दैट कार्बोनिफेरस जो कोल फॉर्मेशन हुआ था. ओके, तो उसके बाद में गोंडवाना. बोथ द्रविडियन एंड गोंडवाना आर एसोसिएटेड विद कोल. Okay, so Dravidian came in around 300 million years ago. Gondwana came around 250 million years ago. Okay, Permian में आया था. So answer is D. So this question was attempted by 81% and only 24% are right in that. मतलब लोग सुनाए कहीं पे तो सुनाए, चलो मार लेते. ओके, तो चलो कोशिश कर लेते हैं, ठीक, इसलिए गलत हुआ है. बट आई डोंट नो, सो इतना इजीली मिल जाएगा. इवन इफ यू नो द सिंपल क्रोनोलॉजी, आंसर मिल जाएगा. इसका मतलब है आपको पता भी नहीं था, ऐसा ही तुक्का मार के आए हो. ओके, सो रैंडमली तुक्का मत मारो यार, उससे कोई फायदा नहीं होता है. ओके, ऐसे मत सोचो 4 में 1 तो सही होना चाहिए, रिटर्न्स मिल जाएगा. बिल्कुल नहीं होता. यूपीएससी के केस में तो बिल्कुल नहीं होता है. इससे नेगेटिव ज्यादा होता है. ठीक है, रैंडमली तुक्का मत मारो. कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स रिगार्डिंग द एस्थेनोस्फीयर. वी नो एस्थेनोस्फीयर, तो बताइए इंटीरियर लेयर्स. The Earth's interior layers. The uppermost layer is called as lithosphere. Lithosphere is made up of crust and uppermost part of upper mantle. Okay, so दोनों मिलके एक हार्ड लेयर बन जाता है. तो इसी को ही हम पार्ट पार्ट बना के क्या बोलते हैं? प्लेट्स. Each individual part of lithosphere is what is called as plate. Below the lithosphere there is asthenosphere. Lithosphere is hard, asthenosphere is semi-solid, semi-liquid. Rest of the mantle is called as mesosphere. Upper mantle, lower mantle सारा मिला के mesosphere. Core is called as barysphere. Outer core, inner core. This is in terms of the physical properties. Chemical property: crust, continental crust, oceanic crust. Upper mantle, lower mantle, outer core, inner core. This is the overall division. We're talking about asthenosphere. This layer is the main source of magma. Is that right? Yes. Most of the magma which comes onto the surface is from asthenosphere because it is in a semi-solid, semi-liquid state. Very easily it undergoes melting and the pressure builds up and then erupts out. Okay, so first statement is right. The density of the asthenosphere is lower than that of lithosphere. This is highly impossible. Very simple logic. The more you move towards the center, density increases. Outer layer, low density, inner layer, higher density. It is not at all possible. The ductility of asthenosphere is higher than that of lithosphere. Here the difficulty lies in understanding what is ductility. If you don't know the meaning of ductility, you will not be able to answer this. You would have studied about ductility, malleability, all of this in your school, है ना? तो पढ़ा होगा, अगर कुछ याद है तो मिलेगा. तो देखा, प्रीलिम्स में यही काम होता है. ऐसे मत सोचो जो आपने पढ़ के आया है वो इसी से आंसर निकाल दोगे. कहीं पे और कहीं पे और कहीं पे सुना होगा, स्कूल में सुना होगा, ऐसे ही बातें करते सुना होगा, बहुत सारा चीजें काम आएगा. You should keep your mind open, then only you'll be able to think all of this. So ductility is that property which enables the metal to get stretched. जितना भी खींचो वो डिफॉर्म नहीं होगा, टूटेगा नहीं, है ना? That is what is ductility. तो ऐसे हो सकता है when it is in semi-solid, semi-liquid state. Okay, जैसे प्लास्टिक जैसे है, उसको डिफॉर्म इजीली हो जाएगा, टूटेगा नहीं, it will not break down. Lithosphere breaks. That is what is plates. Ductility of asthenosphere is higher than that of lithosphere. Answer is only 2. 90% of the students have tried to attempt this. In that 60% are right. That means ठीक है, you should also attempt this. अगर इसको छोड़ के आया है मतलब you should have studied this. This is a core part of geography, traditional part of geography itself. Now comes the very famous question. Which of the following states has the lowest drainage basin area of river Ganga? Okay, so I'll give you the statistics first. 93% of the students have attempted this. 93% of the students have attempted this, and only 9% are right. So, matlab, those who did not attempt this, they have done wonderful job. So, if at all you had tried to attempt that, you had maximum chances of going wrong. Very few people were able to guess this, because it's just a general idea, general understanding. ठीक है? Eliminate करके आंसर निकालने की कोशिश करें. Which has the lowest drainage basin of river Ganga? यूपी को eliminate कर सकते हैं. यूपी is the highest. You're left with MP, West Bengal and Rajasthan. So naturally you tend to mark Rajasthan. Yes, because Rajasthan has desert area, rivers कम है, तो गंगा बेसिन तो बिल्कुल कम होना चाहिए. So what about मध्य प्रदेश? मध्य प्रदेश तो वेस्ट बंगाल से तो कम ही होना चाहिए, ऐसा लगेगा. वेस्ट बंगाल तो बिल्कुल नहीं होना चाहिए, बट यही है आंसर. So the takeaway is, when you are left with 3 options, do not attempt. When you are left with 3 options, you are not able to come to a conclusion. You are for sure यूपी तो नहीं है, और तीनों ऑप्शन में फॉर श्योर तो कोई भी नहीं निकला. प्लीज कीप इट. ठीक है, यूपीएससी अगर दिया है मतलब कुछ तो उसमें ट्रिक होगा, एंड वो भी ऐसे सिंपल सा एक लाइन का 4 वर्डेड आंसर दिया है, मतलब उसमें कुछ तो गड़बड़ होगा. इतना इजीली आंसर नहीं मिलेगा इसमें. ओके, सो द ट्रिक इज टू लीव दिस. ओके, सो ये सारा आपको प्रैक्टिस होना चाहिए. सो इन फैक्ट इट हैज द लोएस्ट अमॉन्ग दीज. So this is the overall proportion of river Ganga basin. So we are talking about the drainage basin area of river Ganga, not the river Ganga itself. So what do you mean by drainage basin? Drainage basin का मतलब क्या है? When you say drainage basin, it's not the main river. It's not the area covered by the main river. When you say drainage basin, it includes all the area drained by the river, its tributaries, co-tributaries, sub-tributary, everything. So what is the drainage basin of Ganga? This is the drainage basin of Ganga. When I say drainage basin, it includes all the land, in which not only the main river, even the tributaries, sub-tributary, tributaries, every stream flows. This is the drainage basin of Ganga. Of course, highest is UP. West Bengal का देखो, बस इतना ही है. राजस्थान देखो, MP देखो. Okay, so this is all MP. Because there are large number of rivers, all of them are flowing towards the north to join Yamuna. Yamuna is a tributary of Ganga. So comparatively, West Bengal has the lowest. Okay, so a little bit tricky. That's why you have to, unless you are not sure, you should not take the guess. Of course, not Rajasthan. So यहाँ पर मेजरली बानस का ही आता है. बानस comes from अरावली. बानस का बहुत सारे ट्रिब्यूटरीज है. सारा मिलके बानस joins चंबल, चंबल joins यमुना, यमुना joins गंगा. Right? So the answer is West Bengal. Straits, this is totally from the location based. You know the important straits. Strait of Dover, Strait of Bosporus, Strait of Hormuz, and Cook Strait. Okay, let's mark this. So where is Dover Strait? Okay, so some basic mapping would be sufficient. This is not that difficult. Dover Strait is a very famous strait located between France and UK. फ्रांस एंड यूके के बीच में है. इस साइड में इंग्लिश चैनल है. इंग्लिश चैनल का नैरोएस्ट पार्ट है डोवर स्ट्रेट. ठीक है. बॉस्फोरस इज हियर between European Turkey and Asian Turkey. It connects Black Sea with Aegean Sea. ठीक है. Aegean Sea के नीचे है Mediterranean Sea. So and then तीसरा कौन सा है? Hormuz. Hormuz तो बहुत फेमस है. It connects the Persian Gulf with the Gulf of Oman. Cook Strait. कुक याद करते न्यूजीलैंड चले जाओ, वहां पर बहुत सारा कुक मिलेगा आपको. Because it's famously named after the Captain Cook, the first European to visit New Zealand. वो हर जगह में अपना नाम रखे गया है. ठीक है. सो न्यूजीलैंड के दो आइलैंड है. तो न्यूजीलैंड का दो आइलैंड है, तो वन इज नॉर्थन एंड वन इज सदर्न. दोनों के बीच में जो स्टेट है इट इज कॉल्ड एज कुक स्टेट. न्यूजीलैंड का हाईएस्ट पीक का नाम है कुक पीक, माउंटेन कुक. ओके, आरोकी बोलते हैं, माउंटेन कुक. एंड देयर इज आल्सो कुक आइलैंड है ना, तो वहीं का है. So you got this. The order is same as what is given over there. Okay, so straits are very important. You have to cover through mapping. First one, Dover Strait. Okay, then Bosporus, then Hormuz and Cook Strait. The answer is E. So 68% of the students have attempted this, and in that 60 have marked it right. Okay. So consider the following statements with respect to gold industry in India. India is the largest consumer of gold in the world and accounts for around 1/4 of the global gold demand. So this was the case around 10 years ago. Of course, we account huge amount of gold, but we are not the largest consumer of gold anymore. China has overtaken us here also. China is the largest consumer of gold. First statement is wrong. India imports more than 80% of its global gold demand. This is right. More than 80%, nearly 89% actually. Okay, very less proportion is produced in India actually. KGF तो बहुत पहले बंद कर दिया था. Okay, it's not functional anymore. Answer is 2 only. So here also again many have marked it wrong. 84 have tried to attempt. In that only 27 are right. Okay, so only 27% of the 84% have marked it as right. So let's move on to the environment section. So this is the syllabus of environment. General issues on environmental ecology, biodiversity and climate change that do not require subject specialization. It's a very funny statement. So it is written here that it does not require any special subject specialization. So with the expectation that we already know many things about our environment, our schools and colleges have taught good thing about our environment, our society has taught good things about our environment, but that is highly optimistic of UPSC. Okay, in fact, this requires a good subject specialization. A specialized study is very much required because our environmental awareness is very, very low. Okay, however, it gives a very important hint that please don't read environment with the two technicalities. Don't go into too detail. Try to understand in a general sense. That general sense and application orientedness is what is required here. ठीक है, वही बहुत जरूरी है. Whatever the environment topics you are going to read, please read it in a application oriented manner. एक general curiosity से समझने का कोशिश करो. So that will be very much helpful. And environment, we know about the overall weightage. It has carried good weightage all through. We can expect up to 20 questions, right? A very important section. And geography and environment together will account for nearly 35 questions out of 100. So that makes it the largest section. And both are interrelated. To answer good number of questions in environment, you need the knowledge of geography. Some of the questions of geography can be answered with the help of environment. Connect both using maps. Okay, so you will cover major part of it thoroughly. Okay, so let's start with the first question in environment. Question number 28. A waste management technology, BioTrig, seen in news recently. So even I'm surprised here, nearly 73% of the students have tried to answer this. In that, only 7% were right actually. Again, it shows the tendency of the students to answer just because it appears like, ठीक है, पढ़ा है, सुना है, I've read somewhere, I've heard somewhere, let's take a guess. So even in that case, even if you have heard somewhere, please ensure that you are left with only 2 options before taking guess. Don't take random guess out of 4 or 3. Okay, so I guess many of the students have made mistake here. Because it's a very simple question, and if you have studied it, you will get the answer. If you have studied it, you will get the answer. You have not studied, you will not get the answer. You're just making a random guess. Don't make a random guess. So what is this BioTrig? BioTrig is a way through which we can convert this agriculture waste or any kind of food waste, agriculture waste into something which is very useful. Okay, in rural area, in many cases, they just burn the waste material, agriculture waste or any other food waste or many of the waste produced in the rural area. They just burn it openly. That causes air pollution also, right? So this is a way we can convert into some useful product through the help of pyrolysis. You know pyrolysis? Pyrolysis is basically burning the waste at a very high temperature. When you burn it at very high temperature in a controlled oxygen or limited oxygen, you can produce some useful products including syngas, synthetic gas, which is like a fuel, and some other byproducts like biochar. All of this can be produced. This is a machine which does that. You just have to put all the waste into this chamber, which is totally airtight. Okay, in the absence of oxygen, it will burn at a very high temperature, above 400 degrees Celsius. And that kind of burning produces some of the byproducts like bio oil, biochar, as well as syngas. Syngas can be used to produce electricity. It's a way of disposal of waste. Okay? New technology that allows pyrolysis at community level. Okay, yes, community level, because it is done installed in the common area where people can come and use this. 29. Polar bears can only survive in cold Arctic temperature and cannot tolerate warmer temperature. Is the statement right? So this kind of question, very easy to attempt. You have 2 statements. First, check the statements independently whether right or wrong. You have to see independently whether they are right or wrong. Okay, first read the statement 1, right or wrong. Statement 2, right or wrong. Then try to connect. Okay? First statement, polar bears can only survive in cold Arctic temperature and cannot tolerate warmer temperatures. Is that so? Yes, we are hearing about this news for a long time. With the melting of ice in Arctic region, polar bears are going to go extinct. अगर ऐसे उसका कैपेसिटी है तो हम इसका ज्यादा सोचते नहीं है, तो बोलेंगे चलो वहां से इधर उठा के लेके आ जाओ, यहाँ पर रखेंगे. नहीं हो सकता. It is not possible. It survives only in the cold conditions. The statement 1 is right. Statement 2. Polar bears are eurythermal animal. Okay, leave about the statement 1. When you are reading statement 2, you should just forget the statement 1. Then you have to connect it. That is the trick. Polar bears are eurythermal animals. Now you have to worry about this meaning eurythermal. So if you have not studied this, then you are just taking a guess. Okay, so let's say you don't know about what is eurythermal. Can you make a guess here? Statement 1 is right. That means answer can be A, answer can be B, answer can be C. You have eliminated only D. In this case, you are taking a guess. Again, you are taking option out of 3. That is why most of the students have marked it wrong. 88% have tried to attempt this, and in that only 32 are right. 1/3 are right, 2/3 are wrong. Okay, I am giving you two numbers. This is the number of attempts. This is those out of this who have gone right. मतलब 32% of 88 is right, not the 32 of whole. ठीक है? So जितना attempt किया है उसमें 32% ही है, मतलब 2/3 have gone wrong because of this only, because they have taken guess in 3 options. If you don't know eurythermal, there is no point of answering this. Right? Now tell me, what is eurythermal? Any animal which is capable of tolerating wide range of temperature is what is called as eurythermal animal. Okay, so and the opposite of eurythermal is stenothermal. Stenothermal. It tolerates only narrow range of temperatures. So now polar bear tolerate wide range of temperature or narrow range of temperature? Narrow range. उसका body देखो समझ आ जाएगा, इतना thick fur है. Okay, so big size. Okay, so overall body का surface area is less exposed from above Allen's rule. है ना? So because of it is totally adapted to cold condition. If you bring it to the warm condition, the same adaptations will go against it. इतना गर्मी लगेगा वो फर के वजह से वो टॉलरेट नहीं कर पाएगा. So it is not eurythermal, it is stenothermal. The second statement is wrong. If the second statement is wrong, answer is C. Simple. So next, POP, persistent organic pollutants. The use of DDT has been stopped completely in India for both agricultural and non-agricultural use. So DDT is a very famous pollutant. It's a very important persistent organic pollutant. Among all the environmental initiatives, okay, so जो भी international level में conservation हुआ है, movements हुआ है, summits हुआ है, if you make a timeline of this, the first major initiative, major event is about DDT only. We all know about 1972 Stockholm Conference, the earliest environmental initiative, जिसकी वजह से UNEP बना है. 10 years before that, there was a book released called as Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. She is the first person to talk about biomagnification of DDT, the negative impacts of DDT, because of which DDT was banned in USA. ठीक है? इंडिया में भी बैन हो गया था, मतलब स्टॉकहोम कन्वेंशन के हिसाब से तो हो जाना चाहिए था, but it is not 100% banned. Supreme Court at many occasions has said, has asked the government to ban it, but there is a very limited usage of DDT. Because in various locations, they are using this to control the mosquito population. Okay, mosquito population control करने के लिए use करते हैं, very limited usage, not as a pesticide in large scale. That is why the statement 1 is wrong. The use of DDT has been stopped completely. नहीं, it is completely restricted. There is a quota for production. Per annum 10,000 metric tons of DDT is allowed to be produced, and only one organization is producing, that is Hindustan in the insecticide. Okay, Hindustan in the insecticide is the only organization which is producing. Only they can produce it in a very limited and restricted manner. It is under production. The first statement is wrong. Second statement, India banned the use of endosulfan, which also has bioaccumulation properties. This is right. Endosulfan is highly highly prone for biomagnification. Again, it is one of the important pollutant which is listed under Stockholm Convention. Stockholm Convention for persistent organic pollutants. ठीक है, तो एंड ये बैन हो गया था, फिर उसके बाद में कुछ जगह में यूज हो रहा था, पर्टिकुलरली केरला में यूज हो रहा था. Okay, so in cashew nut plantation they were using it, and then Supreme Court with repeatedly ordering the government, finally it is banned. Basel Convention does not ban export of hazardous waste into developing countries for the purpose of recycling. So what is Basel Convention? Basel Convention is about the transboundary movement of hazardous waste. Okay, so that restricts the movement of hazardous waste from one country to another. Even if there is a movement, it has to be with a very clear set of guidelines. ठीक है, there is a restricted. So with that general idea you may see, ठीक है, it does not ban the export. अगर recycle के लिए कोई ले रहे तो ban नहीं होना चाहिए. But this was widely misused by many countries to dump these kind of waste into developing and less developed countries earlier. Okay, this provision was misused by many countries to dump these waste. बोला कि हम recycle के लिए भेज रहे हैं वहां पर, इन्हीं का ही दूसरा subsidiary वहां पर सेटअप कर दिया, एंड वही लोग इंपोर्ट करेंगे, वहां पर जाके डंप कर देंगे, क्योंकि देयर आर नॉट मच ऑफ स्ट्रिक्ट एनवायरमेंटल लॉज ओवर देयर. इसको बैन करने के लिए एक अमेंडमेंट किया था बेसल कन्वेंशन के अंदर, दैट इज व्हाट इज बेसल बैन अमेंडमेंट. बेसल बैन स्पेसिफिकली टॉक्स अबाउट दिस ओनली. एनी काइंड ऑफ export of hazardous waste to developing countries for any purpose, not only for recycling, for any purpose, it is banned. That is what is called as Basel ban. Answer is ye one only. 84% of the students have attempted this, in that only 34 are right. Dhanori wetlands. Where is Dhanori wetlands? Any of you have seen Dhanori wetlands? UP? Which part of UP? Very near to where we are right now. Very near, मतलब दिल्ली के हिसाब से नहीं है, ठीक है. So this is the one of the best location where you can sight Saras crane, the tallest flying bird in the world, the state bird of UP, Saras crane. Dhanori wetland is a very beautiful wetlands which is just near to Yamuna Expressway. नोएडा के पास में. अभी नोएडा के पास में नया एयरपोर्ट बन रहा है, झेवर एयरपोर्ट. It is very near to that. Okay, so because of the airport, there is good amount of development happening over there, and this wetland is threatened. That is why recently NGT has given 4 weeks of time to UP government to declare it as a wetland. Because in India, any wetland is not a wetland unless the government declares it. The state has to declare it. हाँ, ये wetland है, तभी वो wetland होगा. Then it will be protected under the wetland conservation rules. This is not a declared wetland. Once you declare, then the land use will be limited. Okay, that is why this is in news. It is a natural wetland which has been recognized as important bird area by BirdLife International. Yes, very important area है. बहुत बढ़िया birds आता है. Any of you who are interested in bird watching, you can go. It's just 1 hour travel from here. It has been recognized as a wetland of international importance under Ramsar Convention. No, not yet. It may get recognition anytime. उतना वहां पर bird rich bird availability है. The river Yamuna directly feeds Dhanori wetland. This is also wrong. There is no direct. यमुना एक्सप्रेसवे के इस तरफ में है, तो ये वेटलैंड उस तरफ में है. यमुना एक्सप्रेसवे बीच में चलता है, ठीक है. एंड इट फीड्स लाइक इनडायरेक्टली, जब भी फ्लड हो गया, ओवरफ्लो हो गया, तब जाएगा. इट डजंट डायरेक्टली फीड द धनौरी वेटलैंड्स. सो आंसर इज ओनली 1. Okay, so here also only few of them have tried to attempt. 48% have tried to attempt. In that only 17% is right. मतलब बहुत कम लोग अटेम्प्ट किया है. If at all you are one among them who have marked it as right, that means you have done a very good job. So keep it up. EPR. EPR के ऊपर already question आ चुके हैं. UPSC has asked the question on EPR already. So this is a different way of asking EPR. Extended producer responsibility is a responsibility of the manufacturer or brand owners to manage the waste produced by their products. Okay, let's say we have a company which is producing, let's say, mobile phone. Okay, so my job doesn't end just after selling it. it is my responsibility to collect it after the end usage also and put it back into the economy. Circular economy बनाने वो मेरा responsibility है. That is what is extended producer responsibility. I may not directly collect it, but using different agencies I can do that. EPR agencies आते हैं तो उनके थ्रू कर सकते हैं. That is what is extended producer responsibility. Which of them have the above? Among these, which of them have EPR responsibility? All 5, including the waste oil, which was recently added. That is why this is in news. Plastic packaging already there. Plastic waste management rules. Printer comes under e-waste. E-waste management rule. E-waste is the one of the earliest to get the EPR. EPR का status सबसे पहले मिला था. Batteries management rules separately है. Okay, उसके लिए उसके अंदर है. Tires and waste oil. Tire is already there under hazardous waste. Hazardous waste का management rules है. उसके अंदर EPR दिया है already. And उसके अंदर recently waste oil भी add हुआ है. Hazardous waste management rules are there 2022. In that rules, recently the waste oil has been added. Waste oil is any kind of used cooking oil. All of these are waste oil. 86% have attempted this. In that only 35 are right. Okay, so many of them who have not read the current affairs, they are not aware of the waste oil. Okay, used cooking oil. So that's why maybe they have marked it wrong. So this is behavioral question. Usually in the recent times, UPSC is asking behavioral, animal behavior, wildlife behavior. This is one such question. How many of the above organisms uses odor or strong smell as a natural defense mechanism against predator? You remember 2 साल पहले ऐसे ही क्वेश्चन आया था. Which of the following animals curls and make the body rounded when it is threatened? Okay, ऐसे behavior का क्वेश्चन आते हैं. Try to see them. Okay, सर्च इंटरनेट में वीडियोस में देखो, थोड़ा सा इंटरेस्टिंग मिल जाएगा आपको. So in fact all the 3 have such kind of defense mechanism. Okay, all the 3 have defense mechanism. Let me just show. याद रहेगा. So what is this skunk? Skunk is an animal which is not found in India actually, or maybe rarely found in India. Not sure. So, but it's known for its behavior. So whenever it is threatened, if somebody tries to kill it or target it or chase it, it cannot run fast. क्योंकि बहुत तेज दौड़ नहीं सकते, तो it releases a very bad smell. इतना गंदा स्मेल रिलीज करता है कि लोग जो उसको चेस करे वही भाग जाएंगे. तो ये है स्कंक. ठीक है. एंड बोम्बार्डियर बीटल. This is what is bombardier beetle. Okay, it is known for releasing a very strongly smelling and very irritating also for the skin. Whenever it is threatened, it will release this kind of spray and it will chase the predator or any animal which is chasing it. That is bombardier beetle. And third one is vulture. Vulture ऐसे करते हैं. Vulture का बहुत special behavior है. Vulture क्या करते हैं? उल्टी कर देता है. Yes. Whenever vulture is threatened, it vomits, and that produces such a bad smell that whoever is threatening it, they will run away. ठीक है? In fact, it is capable of vomiting vertically. ऐसे उल्टी करता है ऊपर से. The answer is all 3. Okay, many have tried to answer this. I would say if you don't know it, you should not go and try to answer this. Okay, random guess mat maro. So 70% have tried to answer this, and in that only 15% are right. Okay, so very few have marked it as right. This is a very simple and straightforward question, compensatory afforestation. So it's very much necessary that you have to read all the legislations. Okay, go through it in detail provisions, and compensatory afforestation as a provision was introduced under the Forest Conservation Act. Okay, the act itself was made for this purpose, compulsory reforestation itself. Whenever a particular part of the forest is being diverted for non-forest activity, you have to create a equal area of forest somewhere else. That is what is compulsory afforestation. 1980 में इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ था, तो रिसेंटली अमेंडमेंट भी हुआ है, तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, डिटेल में ऑल द इंपॉर्टेंट प्रोविजंस हैज टू बी कवर्ड. Okay, so here I don't know why people have made a mistake here. So 88% of the students have attempted this, and in that only 43 are right. I'm totally surprised. Why? Because it's one of the most predictable. Okay, so all legislations you have to go through it. Important provisions you have to go through it. Bataiye, what are the important legislations? Indian Forest Act, Wildlife Protection Act, Air Act, Water Act, Forest Conservation Act, Environment Protection Act, Biodiversity Act, Forest Rights Act, NGT Act. Okay, these are the important environmental acts. You have to go through it in detail. Every year 1 or 2 questions for sure will be there. And this year important 3 acts: Wildlife Protection Act, Forest Conservation Act, and Biodiversity Act. All 3 have been amended. Okay, so please go through them in detail. Okay, this is also again an easy question. Internal carbon pricing mechanism is something which is envisaged as, in the context of carbon market, voluntary carbon market. Okay, so the answer is B. It is the value a company voluntarily sets to internalize the economic cost of its greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so because every company will be given targets to be achieved, इतना आपको कम करना है, इतना आपको कम करना है, ऐसे targets मिल जाएगा. Okay, because India has announced the voluntary carbon market. So whoever is releasing excess amount of greenhouse gases, they will be penalized for that, and they will have to trade, and they will have to purchase the carbon credit from others. Okay, so in order to reduce the overall emission of greenhouse gases, a company इसी के अंदर internal strategy है, तो कौन सी process से कितना carbon dioxide निकल रहा है. Okay, you can set. Okay, so let's say a car manufacturing is there, उसका कौन कौन से पार्ट्स का मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में कितना कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड होता है, असेंबलिंग में कितना होगा, तो मूवमेंट में कितना होगा, ये सब चीजें ऐसे इंटरनली ही डिसाइड कर देंगे, एंड दे ट्राई टू रिड्यूस आफ्टर दैट. Okay, once you are able to assess the amount of carbon dioxide emitted in each of the segment, you can reduce it, right? So that is what is internal carbon pricing. So 82% have attempted this, and in that 51% are right. This is totally from current affairs. All of these are related to environment. Of course, environment section में discuss हो रहा है, तो answer environment ही होगा. So, but the thing is, like, try to go through some of the important prizes recently जो आए हैं. तो just rough idea, क्योंकि in the last 1 or 2 years, UPSC has started to ask regarding the prizes. Okay, so very simple and direct. And again, 58% of the students have attempted this. In that, 42 are right. Another very easy question. If you have studied the overall distribution of biodiversity across the world as well as India, you will answer this. Which of them are naturally found in India? So which of them are not naturally found in India? बता दो, आंसर मिल जाएगा. Caribou is not naturally found in India. Caribou is a very big sized deer which is found in the cold climatic condition, Siberia and Arctic and Canada. Okay, that is what is caribou. It is present only in tundra and taiga biosphere reserve. Tundra and taiga type of biomes. Okay, tundra taiga biomes में ही मिलता है. ठीक है, सो caribou नहीं मिलेगा, इंडिया में नहीं मिलेगा, और बाकी सारा मिलेगा. So this is cheetal. ठीक है, very famous. Cheetal is called as spotted deer. Musk deer. This is musk deer. Musk deer is commonly found in Himalayas, mountain Himalayan ecosystem. Cheetal deer is found in all type of ecosystem. Barasinga. Barasinga is swamp deer. Okay, very famous in Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh का state animal है. It's found in कान्हा नेशनल पार्क. क्योंकि यूपीएससी में यही क्वेश्चन आए हैं. Okay, कौन से नेशनल पार्क में कॉमनली मिलता है? दैट इज इन कान्हा नेशनल पार्क, बारासिंगा. Okay, बहुत बढ़िया दिखता है. And barking deer is found in Western Ghats. Western Ghats as well as Peninsula region. बहुत छोटा सा होता है. Okay, so and mouse deer is the smallest deer species of India. Okay, so this is also found in Kanha National Park. कान्हा में मिलता है and Western Ghats के कुछ parts में मिलता है. Very small deer species. Mouse deer. All of these are found in India. The answer is only 5. Okay, here again many of the students have made a mistake. Only 25% of the 74% who attempted this are right. ठीक है, करीबू तो पता है. I think many of got confused in mouse deer and barking deer. Barking deer तो पता होना चाहिए, mouse deer में शायद confuse होंगे. Which one of the following does not belong to the phylum of other 3 species? तो ऐसे वाला क्वेश्चन आया है एंड इसका बेस्ट स्ट्रेटजी है ट्राई टू रफली सी द एवोल्यूशन ऑफ लाइफ ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ अर्थ. एवोल्यूशन का इवेंट्स एक बार ट्रेस कर लो, कौन सा पहले आया था कौन सा बाद में आया था, उसका ग्रुप से आपको बहुत क्लियरली मिल जाएगा. ओके, फॉर एग्जांपल, वेरी सिंपल एग्जांपल, प्रोकैरियोट्स, यूकैरियोट्स, फ्रॉम यूनिसेलुलर टू बिकेम मल्टीसेलुलर. मल्टीसेलुलर में बहुत सॉफ्ट बॉडीड था, फॉर एग्जांपल जेलीफिश एटसेट्रा. उसके बाद में थोड़ा सा हार्ड आउटर शेल वाला आया, फॉर एग्जांपल कोरल्स. कोरल्स के बाद में आया हमारा मोलस्क. मोलस्क के बाद में आया था आर्थ्रोपोड्स. ओके, सो आर्थ्रोपोड्स के बाद में आया वर्टिब्रेट, दैट इज फिश. फिश के बाद में एम्फीबियंस, एम्फीबियंस के बाद में रेप्टाइल्स, रेप्टाइल्स के बाद में मैमल्स, मैमल्स के बाद में बर्ड्स. मैमल्स ओरिजिनेटेड इन ट्रायसिक. They were not dominant, but they came in Triassic. Birds came in Cretaceous. Okay, evolution में वही order है, but mammals became dominant later. ये ऐसे group wise याद रख लो. ऐसे group wise थोड़ा सा rough evolution भी याद कर लिया तो मिल जाएगा आपको. You can see octopus, snail and oyster, all 3 are mollusk. Mollusk है जिसका shell रहता है. Octopus is one exception to mollusk actually, but it belongs to mollusk जिसका shell नहीं है. Crab is arthropod. Okay, segmented bodies होगा. Okay, segment like insects. Insects are largest group of arthropods. Crab is crustaceans. Crustaceans are also arthropods. जिसका internal skeleton नहीं है, बाहर का एक ऐसा protection layer होता है. Answer is crab. It's a crustacean. Okay, थोड़ा biology जैसे लगेगा, but environment से link करो, बहुत easy है याद रखना. It's not that difficult. Okay, try to go through the evolution, you will get the answer. So again, here also 87% of the students have attempted this, and in that only 24% are right. So types of species and example. What do you mean by keystone species? A species which plays a very important role in the ecosystem. Rather than presence, is absence become very noticeable. अगर उसको निकाल दो फिर बहुत ज्यादा रैंडम चेंजेस हो जाएगा. ऑफ कोर्स हनी बीज आर द एग्जांपल ऑफ कीस्टोन स्पीशीज. इट हेल्प्स इन पॉलिनेशन, राइट. सो यहां पर फंस गए होंगे लोग. ठीक है, सो प्रेसिंगटिव स्पीशीज इज अनदर नेम फॉर एंडेमिक स्पीशीज. ओके, इट्स ए वेरी ओल्ड टर्म, अर्लियर यूज्ड, वेरी रेयरली यूज्ड राइट नाउ. प्रेसिंगटिव मीन्स एंडेमिक स्पीशीज. तो आंसर भी 1 only, 2 only, 3 only है. दैट मेक्स इट डिफिकल्ट. Lion-tailed macaque is endemic species of Western Ghats. Indicator species indicates the health of ecosystem. Of course, frogs are indicative species. Okay, all amphibians are indicative species of the aquatic ecosystem. Invasive alien species, Prosopis juliflora, very famous है. UPSC में क्वेश्चन आ चुका है already. So all 4 is the answer. Okay, so again here also 76% have tried to answer. In that 34 are right. I'm sure many of you have got this wrong. Any of you have got this right? Okay, let me tell the answer here. The answer is none. 94% of the students have attempted this. Only 3% is right here. It appears like very easy. When you are reading, you have not read the statements very carefully. That's why you're wrong here. So let's see this. Carbon is the most abundant element in the Earth's crust. We are talking about the Earth's crust, not the entire Earth. In the Earth's crust, which is the most abundant element? Oxygen. 46% of the Earth's crust is oxygen only. NCERT में दिया है ये. ठीक है? On the Earth, most of the carbon is stored in ocean atmosphere rather than rocks and sediments. It is stored in the rocks and sediments. It comes out from the rocks and sediments only. Volcanic eruption, huge amount of carbon dioxide. कहाँ से आएगा? Magma से निकल के आएगा. Rocks and sediments, you can imagine all the way from crust to the innermost part. Everywhere it is rock only. Imagine the amount of carbon which is stored over there. Huge amount of carbon. Not only carbon, even the water also. The amount of water which is there on the surface of Earth, in the atmosphere on the surface, is very, very less compared to the amount of water which is there in the rocks. Okay, rocks के अंदर छुपा हुआ है बहुत सारे चीजें. The amount of carbon in the Earth's carbon cycle is increasing due to excessive use of fossil fuel. It appears like right statement, but the tricky part is the carbon in Earth's carbon cycle, not in the atmosphere. कार्बन साइकिल के अंदर जो कार्बन है वो हमेशा कांस्टेंट ही रहेगा. Because the fossil fuels are already part of the carbon cycle. Okay, it is a fossil fuel which is there in the lithosphere. It is buried in the lithosphere. It is already part of the carbon cycle. You are just releasing into the atmosphere. Amount of carbon remain the same. From the lithosphere, you are transferring the atmosphere. Lithosphere is already part of the carbon cycle. It will not increase the carbon. Burning of fossil fuel will not increase the carbon. This is the trickiest part. That is why most of the students have marked it wrong. The answer is D. Global dimming. Global dimming is opposite of global warming. Global dimming reduces the amount of sun's rays reaching the Earth's atmosphere, causing a drop of temperature around the globe. Okay, so that is right. That is what is global dimming. Global dimming occurs due to changes in the sun's luminosity. Matlab the amount of the insolation coming from the sun. So it is possible, but the overall insolation coming from the sun by changing the luminosity, the brightness of the sun, that is due to the change in the solar cycle. Okay, number of dark spots. Sun spots होता है ना, वो change करने से insolation जो change होगा ना बहुत minimal proportion है. The solar cycle changes very, very less proportion of incoming sunlight. That will not cause global dimming, nor it cause global warming. उससे बहुत ज़्यादा वेरिएशन नहीं होगा. जो भी वेरिएशन होगा एटमॉस्फेयर के अंदर होगा. You increase the greenhouse gases, global warming होगा. You increase the aerosol content which will reflect the sunlight, it will cause the global cooling. For global dimming, you need to add more aerosol, more particulate matter which will reflect the incoming sunlight. That is why second statement is wrong. The answer is C. Okay, so 46% of 78% is right here. Okay, so very quickly 2-3 current affairs questions are there. And this is totally from the Amrit Kal Vision 2047 action plan. Okay, so and some of the components of this are related to environment. So that's why it's included as part of environment. Okay, there are a total of 11 themes under this Amrit Kal. Go through this. In that, 2 are part of this. Okay, so promote ocean, coastal, river cruise sector, become global player in shipbuilding, repair and recycling. Deep sea mining के बात नहीं हुआ है. Countering China तो बिल्कुल बात नहीं करेंगे कभी भी हम. Okay, so openly project बना के तो नहीं करेंगे ना. The answer is 2 only. Okay, so here also 89% have tried to attempt this and only 11% are right here. हाँ, Great Lake region, we know about the Great Lake region. Great Lakes कहाँ पर है? USA, Canada के बीच में. There are 5 Great Lakes. So what are they? Superman helps everyone. Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie and Ontario. Okay, 5 Great Lakes. And it stores huge amount of water, fresh water, and every winter it freezes. Some part of it freezes. Usually 40% of it freezes. Okay, so severe winter, even Niagara Falls also freezes. This is something normal. But this year, very less proportion of freezing has been observed. The statement one is right. The Great Lake region recorded the lowest level of ice in 2024 till record. जैसे जब से हम रिकॉर्ड करना शुरू किया है तब से ये सबसे लोएस्ट है. The global warming, La Nina and frequent blast of Arctic air has held to high temperature in the region. Is that so? ग्लोबल वार्मिंग से हो सकता है, लानिना की वजह से नहीं होगा. यहां पर चाहिए एल नीनो. इट इज द एल नीनो विच कॉजेस हाई टेम्परेचर. एंड अगर फ्रीक्वेंट ब्लास्ट ऑफ आर्कटिक एयर हो गया तो यहां पर कूलिंग होगा और फ्रीजिंग होगा. यू मस्ट हैव हर्ड अबाउट आउटब्रेक ऑफ पोलर वर्टेक्स विच कॉजेस द फ्रीजिंग इफेक्ट. Okay, so this will not cause warming, rather it causes freezing. The second statement is wrong. Answer is C. Okay, so here also 37 out of 84. 84 attempted, 34% is right in that. So recently Airtel has introduced this PVC SIM card, recycled PVC, plastic का है. The process of recycling high density polyethylene is more difficult as compared to low density polyethylene. Is that so? Polyethylene क्या है? जो हमारे कैरी बैग्स है उसमें हाई डेंसिटी रिसाइकल कर सकते हैं, लो डेंसिटी रिसाइकल कर सकते हैं. हाई डेंसिटी रिसाइकल करेंगे ना, लो डेंसिटी रिसाइकल करना मुश्किल है और रिसाइकल मशीनिंग के अंदर फंस जाएगा. दैट इज व्हाई गवर्नमेंट हैज आल्सो मेड इट मिनिमम थिकनेस इतना होना चाहिए. पॉलीथिलीन बैग का जो मिनिमम थिकनेस मेंशन किया है ना. So that is mentioned as part of the plastic waste management rule. High density इसलिए यूज करते हैं, रिसाइकल करना इजी है. Okay, this is wrong. Polystyrene is the most common type of plastic to be recycled in the world. Polystyrene क्या होता है? What is polystyrene? One which is used in food packaging. जिसके अंदर हवा भरा होता है. Okay, so ऐसे पफी होता है. उसको रिसाइकल करना बहुत मुश्किल है. सबसे ज्यादा इजीली रिसाइकल होते हैं पेट, पॉलीथिलीन टेराप्थैलेट. जो बॉटल्स होता है ना, दैट इज वेरी इजीली रिसाइक्लेबल. रिसाइकलिंग ऑफ पीवीसी इज मोर इकोनॉमिकली फीजिबल देन रिसाइकलिंग पॉलीथिलीन टेराप्थैलेट. नो, पेट इज इजीली हो जाएगा. एंड इनफैक्ट पीवीसी जो रिसाइकल करता है ना, तो वहां पर उसके अंदर हाइड्रोक्लोरिक एसिड निकलता है, दैट विल कोरोड द मशीन्स. सो इट्स डिफिकल्ट. आंसर इज डी, none. ये भी वैसा ही है. 65% have tried to attempt and only 4% is right. And again, people, I am sure whoever had tried to attempt this, they have just taken a guess. So please don't do random guess here. And the last question. The government of India has released report on the status of leopards in India. So this is actually done as a part of tiger census only. हर 4 साल में टाइगर सेंसस होगा, उसके साथ में लेपर्ड का भी काउंट होता है as a co-predator. So recently the government has released the report. And leopards are something which is very common in all the ecosystems of India. And 2018 census के हिसाब से the number of leopards in India were around nearly 12,500. Okay, around 12,800 था approximately. Now it has become 13,800. Approximate numbers याद रखो. Okay, there is an increase. Number of leopards have increased. And in that 4 states, MP, Maharashtra, and then Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Okay, you can clearly guess the states along the Western Ghats. Okay, so these 4 states account for more than 50%, and this is also the order. MP has the highest number of leopards. Maharashtra has the highest number of leopards in India. Wrong. MP has the highest number. More than half of them are concentrated in these 4 states. This is right. All Himalayan states have shown a steady rise in the population. This is wrong actually. Uttarakhand is one state where there is a decline. Nearly 25% of leopards have declined because of the man-animal conflict. Frequent interaction of human beings with the leopards that has resulted in killing of leopards. Okay, and again here the fact is, out of 74% of the students who attempted this, only 47 have marked it right. Okay. So if you have any doubts, you can write to me at this mail ID. If you want, you can connect at Twitter, X, using this ID. So I wish you all the best, and see you again in the next Abhyas. So please do the exercise as I suggested. So please work on the areas where you can improvise. and please take it as your UPSC examination, then only it will benefit you maximum. ठीक है? Thank you very much.